I'd first like to introduce myself. My name is Filomena Maimone, and I'll get more into what makes Mena Mena. But I'm the attorney, founding attorney of Maimone Legal, and we offer, all immigration type services. We offer business law, estate planning, and beyond. And then I have my lovely mom here, Rocky. Can you wave to everybody? This is
Oh, I'm here.
Rocky,
Yeah.
who is a serial entrepreneur and has run a lot of different businesses in Canada and has helped me really build this firm. And we couldn't have done it without you. So, very important lady to me and to all of our clients. And then we have Todd and Carly, who are here and have pursued an EB-5 with us. And they got an approval not too long ago, and so they're here to tell their story. Lovely people. We've really enjoyed working with them, and so really happy that and blessed to have them here tonight. And we have Lorena. Unfortunately, Nick, her husband, isn't here with her tonight, but lovely people as well. Really formed a friendship with both families here. And same thing with Lorena and Nick. They've pursued their EB-5 and now are looking towards their green card. So we're very excited for both families and can't wait to see their American journey unfold. So again, thank you all for being here. I have Fernando, who I kind of introduced earlier. Fernando is also very special to us. He's an EB-5 broker and business broker, and he basically helps our clients to feel secure and knowledgeable in the EB-5 program. I like to call him an expert in the EB-5 projects. He has this wonderful matrix, and he makes people feel really confident in understanding what the EB-5 is about and what project to invest in. So, lovely panel of people. Thank you all for being here. And let's start with the slide so we can get this show on the road.
I think the first part is to talk about our story.
Yep.
Uh, and we are Canadian born and raised, Mena and I, and about 8 years ago decided to make the move to Florida. Not sure what happened. We came on a mother-daughter trip, fell in love, started looking at it first as let's get a condo, let's go to the beach every once in a while. And then I started to look at return on investment, cost of real estate. And I went home and I did the math and I thought, if I sell my retirement home and some investment properties that I had in Canada, I potentially was able to retire at age 48 because of the cost of living in Florida. So I literally went up to Mena and I said, I'm moving to Florida. You want to come? She's like, don't do this to me. You're just joking because Mena always tried to get me to live somewhere other than Ontario. She just always wanted to go to Europe or something. And being of Italian background and the good Catholic Italian guilt, you're not supposed to go farther than 15 minutes from your mother. And so at that time, I was like, I can't go. My family's here. And then once that, it was like a trigger went off. I started looking at different visas. Well, how do I do this? Because growing up, everyone hears that it's impossible to move to the United States. So a lot of people don't even look into it. And so having gone through that, I realized I found the E2 visa. We moved on the E2 visa. And then about a year or so after being in beautiful Florida, we realized very quickly that nobody wanted to go back to Canada. And that's when we decided to pursue the EB-5. I got my green card on June 20th, 2025. It's a day I'm never going to forget. And once we moved down here, Mena decided to pursue a career in law, and I'll let her take it from here.
Yeah. So when we first moved down, I was completely lost. I wasn't a lawyer yet. And so I opened or I purchased an office building cafe, which was just a band-aid solution for me to come to the United States. Well, there I am making sandwiches. And I'm servicing a lot of attorneys coming down because there was progressive in the building. There were a lot of insurance companies in the building and they employed a lot of attorneys. So the attorneys would come have lunch, I'd make their sandwich and I'd talk to them. And one day it kind of hit me. Like I'm talking to all these attorneys, I'd be a great attorney. And then I thought, the attorney that we used for our E2 wasn't really supportive. I didn't know what to do. It would take weeks to get a response from him. And so the idea, the passion was kind of born in that moment. And I decided to go to law school here in Fort Lauderdale. So I went to law school for 3 years, put in my work, passed the bar exam, and then I went to Rocky. And I said, I didn't say Rocky. I said, Mom, Mom, let's open a firm together. Let's open a firm that's different from the other firms that helps Canadians do what we've done. And I didn't expect it to grow to the level that it is now, to the exposure that we've had, and to the amount of people that we've been able to help. I just wanted to help as many people as I could, and I didn't know how far that would go. And so we started offering services. We loved people. We continue to love people. We showed them support, and we gave them the knowledge that they need in order to make this move. And we were able to, and we continue to be able to relate to them because we've been through the process ourselves. So when I tell them that they're going up to for an interview at the consulate, I've been for an interview at the consulate, so I could tell them, hey, this is where you should go. Leave your cell phone here and do this and do that. So it makes the journey special because it's like I'm living through my clients. I've done it myself, and so I can really relate. And so we've been at it now a few years. We've helped hundreds of people um, come to the United States, and to see the impact that we've had on some of these families is just incredible. So that's me, and that's my mom, Rocky, and this is what we do.
Yeah, so obviously we started with immigration, we started helping clients, and then we realized that there was a real need to help with estate planning because a lot of foreigners moving to the United States don't understand different ways to hold property and how to protect yourself and how to properly set up US entities with proper tax filings. And so from there, estate planning was born. Again, because we went through it ourselves and we realized that there was a gap. So we've helped a lot of families establish, once they're here in the US, to really set their assets and estate in proper order for succession, to protect from liability. So that part was born. And then clients started asking us, well, why can't you take care of our business? We want you to do this. We want you. And we're like, okay. So then we created the business side of Maimone Legal. And so those are our three main areas of legal work. And the fourth level that we're about to do, we're just about to bring it on, is so many of you have questions about cross-border, about taxes, about CRA and IRS, and we're just about to add a tax department in the firm as well. We're bringing on a very knowledgeable American tax attorney and a Canadian CPA so that we can help our clients with that side of the puzzle as well. And you'll hear a little bit from the rest of the panelists tonight about how we can help you by connecting you with wonderful professionals who are there to help you through legal, accounting, healthcare, purchasing of a property, financing, everything you're going to need, we've got it. And if we don't have it, we know someone who's going to take good care of you. So that's basically what we do in a nutshell.
Pretty good nutshell.
Very big nutshell that keeps growing.
Okay, let's talk about EB-5. So my mom, my brother, and my stepdad all did EB-5. I was too old to be on their petition, so shed a single tear. But we lived through it, and they got their green cards. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about EB-5, what the requirements are, and how you can go about doing it. So EB-5 is an investment, but I like to call it a loan. So basically, you're making a loan to what's called a regional center project. And there's different types of projects all over, which Fernando's going to get to in a little bit. And so once you feel comfortable with a project, you would make an investment. Now, the minimum investment amount for a regional center is $800,000 US. Now, I know that sounds like a lot. Fernando's going to get into in a minute how that's secured and how you can feel comfortable doing that. So you would make the $800,000 investment. Fernando would assist you in finding the project. We would put together all of the paperwork that you're going to need that goes along with the EB-5. And there's a couple of great things that you should know about EB-5. If you're in the US already, whether that be as a visitor or maybe you're on an E2, you can do adjustment of status. So we can do concurrent adjustment of status, which means the moment that you make that investment, if you've already been in the US for 90 days, we can adjust your status and initiate the process for you while you stay here physically in the US. Or if you want to start it ahead of time, we can do consular processing, meaning you make the investment, we file the petition, and it starts processing. And then when you're ready, if it's after, whether it be before the approval or after the approval of the form, you can come and adjust your status at any time, or fully go through the process in your home country. So there's a lot of options, whether you want to delay moving to the US or whether you want to move right away. You can pursue EB-5 and accomplish both of those goals. The best part about it is if you come and you do adjustment of status, within 3 months, usually, you'll get a work permit. So you and your family, you, your spouse, and any children under 21 can work anywhere in the United States once you get that work permit. About 9 to 11 months later, you'll get the ability to travel internationally again. So I know that's a bit of a wait, and so that might be a deciding factor as to whether to choose a consular processing or adjustment. But there's about that wait for you to travel internationally, which means you have to stay in the US for that amount of time till you get that permission. And then about at the 12 to 18 month mark, you'll have your green card issued. And what does that mean? Some people ask me, well, what's a green card? What does that mean exactly? Green card means you're a permanent resident, which is one step closer to becoming a citizen. So with EB-5, if you get a green card and you wait 5 years on that green card, you maintain residency in the US during that time, you're up to date on your taxes. On the 5th year, you can naturalize and become a US citizen. So if you have other citizenships, like if you're a Canadian citizen, for example, you will now be a dual citizen, which is amazing. It's the dream. So that's EB-5. One of the most important parts of EB-5 is the source of funds. So that's when my team will come in and help you to really outline where the money came from in the first place to make this investment. And it's an important part of the process because we have to make sure that we do it right in order to avoid delays or a potential request for evidence where the government's asking for more information and delaying you. So if we can get all of the information, which our team does a really great job of doing, and summarize it in a way that's really easy for the officer to understand, you'll get a very quick approval, just like our clients have here, 6 and 7 months. So that's EB-5. Have I missed anything, Mom?
I'm sure Fernando's going to get into it when we talk a little bit more about particular investments and why they're good to choose and the different things, the different boxes that those investments tick.
Awesome.
I think we're going to talk a little now about the E2 as well. I know that tonight's topic is EB-5, but there are so many people who sometimes start with an E2 and then transition into an EB-5, or EB-5 is not something they're looking to do right now. They're not wanting to move to the United States on a more permanent basis. So there's the E2 visa. As I mentioned, I started with the E2 visa as well. We do a lot of E2 visas all day and all night. Basically, there's 3 things that they look at. Who is the investor? So you have to have a clean background. If there's any criminal history, you have to let us know. Some things we can overcome, some things we can't. So we would tell you right off the bat. Second thing is you have to make an investment. There isn't a set number, but around 100,000 or more is a good number. It depends on what you've spent it on, and that's what we would help you with. We have to make sure that all the pieces of the business is there and it's ready to operate. So we look at what you've spent, and then the last part is just like the EB-5, they want to know where the money came from. They're looking for lawful money, so it can't be tied to any criminal activity, terrorism, or
Let's hope
money laundering.
not.
That's why usually if you're Canadian, it's pretty simple if it's in your bank account or a line of credit, because the Canadian banks are, they scrutinize quite heavily. So what happens with the E2 is you open a business in the US. It can be a startup. It can be a business that's already running, a franchise. It doesn't really matter. Once we show them all of those pieces are in play, if it's a couple that's applying, let's say the husband applies, he would be the principal applicant, and his wife would get an open work permit, allowing her or him to work anywhere and do whatever. There's no restrictions on them in the United States. Any children under the age of 21 can also join in, have lawful status, be able to go to school. And you have to own at least 50% of the business. If you have a partner that's the other 50, and both families are looking to do an E2 visa, you can do that. Each family has to put in at least that 100,000 into the business. You're not able to share it. Another really cool feature of the E2 is if I'm an E2 visa holder and I own this business, I'm able to hire essential workers from my home country. So if I have someone in Canada that potentially works for me already or has worked for me in the past, I can bring them down to my, let's say, Florida-based business, and they're able to work for me. Their spouse is able to get an open work permit, and their children are allowed to join in as well. We have a lot of clients who have big businesses in Canada, and potentially they don't want to move to the United States just yet. And what they do is they open up a business, they send some key people down, and then they get the business in the US kind of going. And then down the road, they'll make the decision whether to, keep both or to change their residency from Canada to the US or just to remain a Canadian resident. So there's lots of opportunity, especially now that the Canadian market has softened a bit. We're seeing a lot of companies who are really being hit hard, and their sales have dropped by 40, 50%. And now what they're doing is opening up shop here to make up for that deficit because they don't see the Canadian market strengthening anytime soon. So they're both wonderful options. E2 gives you the opportunity to come quickly. It's less of an investment. EB-5 gets you right to the green card. It's a more substantial investment, but cuts through everything and gets you your permanent residency and eventually your citizenship. So that's the difference between the two. So now I'm going to turn it over to Fernando. Fernando's going to talk a little bit about what a regional center is and how the whole EB-5 process works within the regional center. Take it away, Fernando.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Well, good evening, everyone. Let me tell you a little bit about my story first. I'm originally from Brazil. I looked into EB-5 about 12 years ago when it was absolutely not as regulated and not as safe as it is today. And I couldn't do it. My perception of risk was simply, wouldn't allow me to do it. And then 10 years later, I created kind of a method to reduce that anxiety and that perception of risk and look through all the fog and be able to analyze the projects. And I'm going to be talking about that in a few minutes. But this is to say, going back to the fact that we've been through the process, right? Mana, Rocky have been through the process. I have been through the process in a painful way, and ended up not applying for EB-5, and it took me years and years and years to get my green card. But going back to the theme here, there are two different modalities of EB-5. One is the direct modality. So you can have your own business, almost like an E2 situation. You can open a company or you can even buy a company. As far as you create or you preserve 10 jobs, you can apply for EB-5 based on that business. Now, just a few of the EB-5 petitioners choose that path, and there is a reason for that. You have to create the or sustain or protect 10 jobs, 10 U.S. jobs, and it's very, very hard to do that with $800,000 for 2 years. Uh, other aspects are that you're incurring your own risk. You have to be successful. Your business plan has to, there is a very, very rigorous process by the USCIS to evaluate that business model and that path. The regional center project, the regional center program is based on a few companies or a few authorizations that are provided by the USCIS department, the Department of Immigration, to a few companies in the US. And nowadays there are about 500 of them that are approved in the whole country. and about 100 or 200 of them that are active. So these are private entities that are authorized by the US government to develop, promote, and manage EB-5 programs. The major difference between investing through a regional center and going your own way is that through regional centers, you can pool investors, you can group investors together to finance the execution of something. And the biggest benefit, you can count the jobs not by pay stubs or helmets or boots or anything like that. You can count them by dollars. There is a formula that converts dollars into job equivalents. So it's much easier for a regional center for you to fulfill the requirement of creating and sustaining 10 jobs over 2 years in the United States. And you do that without having any active role in the project itself. So the EB-5 program of regional centers became very successful over, especially since the financial crisis back in 2008 to 2010, when U.S. developers turned to the foreign investors to bring capital to the United States, and from then on, it became what it is today. So basically, you're going to be investing or lending money, as Vanna said, for the execution of a project. It's typically a real estate project development, although it does not need to be. It could be many things, factories, it could be retail stores, it could be resorts, hotels, it can be anything. But the real estate development industry became kind of married to the EB-5 industry for a number of reasons. One of them is that when we talk about real estate, we're talking about real assets. We're talking about intrinsic value in exchange or as a collateral to your investment. The other thing is that normally real estate development takes some time to be executed, and the EB-5 process, the legal side of it, takes some time. So those are the two aspects that made it match the real estate industry and the regional center program for EB-5 visas. So you can count the jobs indirectly, induced, also not only indirected, and the investor does not have any active role. So someone will execute that project, someone will intermediate that project. So the regional center typical role is to raise capital from EB-5 investors, structure it in a certain way that the USCIS will accept and will approve, and use that money to finance the execution of that project. Now, that financing could be either a loan, which is the most common and the safest path, or it could be a direct equity injection into the project. We're not going to get into those details right now. Now, the as there is the last line here is that the popularity is that refers to the fact that most EB-5 investors, more than 90% that we see here, choose the regional center path because it's safer intrinsically, and there are ways of making it even safer. As I was discussing with a customer this afternoon, immigration in general, success in immigration is about risk mitigation. When we talk about EB-5 investments and the EB-5 process, success here means mitigating the risks that are intrinsic to the process. And this is what we do. We basically mitigate it by education and transparency. I don't know if we're going to get back to this theme when we talk about the projects, but I guess for now that's what I had to say about regional centers.
Okay,
So
so we have a couple of, oh, go
I
ahead,
have
Matt.
a question. So Fernando, let's say we don't know each other. I meet with Rocky. I do an initial call with her. She tells me about EB-5 and then she sends me to you, right? What's
Mhm.
the process like with you? What do I learn through you? How do I learn through you? Can you walk me through a little bit what that
Yeah.
looks like?
Well, the first thing is a short interview. I want to know how much the prospective investor knows about EB-5 or anything else, because sometimes people put in their minds that EB-5 is their path. It's not necessarily that, right? And we don't want them to take that path only to learn later on that that's not either their funds are not qualified or whatever reason, right? But once that's determined, I try to understand how much they learned already about EB-5, right? So I start by explaining a little bit with better slides. I explain what the regional center program is, what that means, and how those projects are structured, and how the money flows from the investor to the projects. So there is a didactic way of explaining that, and then at least people understand, okay, now I understand where I put my money. Now I understand how it's used and how it comes back to me, right? After that, I have a few slides where I try to show things that most people don't know. Like, for instance, you can invest in projects that have already created the jobs, projects that are not risky, projects that have sometimes government incentives. There are all kinds of details that people don't know about. And then I explain my method, the method that I created, which is basically a long list of about 50 criteria or 50 aspects by which EB-5 projects should be evaluated in order to mitigate risk. So the more of those features, the more of those aspects a project has, the more the risks are mitigated, and then you can compare them. So I show the prospective investors a matrix, uh, just a sample that shows them how they will be able, after working with me, to select their preferred project by comparing alternatives, which is the best way to make a decision. It's very, very hard to make decisions when you either don't know what to ask, don't know how to evaluate the answers, and don't know how to compare those answers to everything else, right? So that's basically how a first call with a prospective investor goes with me.
Right. And then we find that when we hear back from them, they'll say, "Oh, I feel so much better now that I talked to Fernando. I can make a better decision. I know what I'm getting into." And so that part is really, really important. Sorry, Mom, you wanted to say something and then I cut you off.
I forget. It's okay.
Something about the questions. I think you were saying some people have some
Oh,
questions.
I agree with, no, we'll get to the questions later, but I agree with that. I mean, I remember when I thought of doing EB-5, I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna give all this money to another country and cross my fingers and hope it comes back. And then
Right.
it wasn't until I went through the process where I actually looked at the projects and I thought, okay, this makes sense, right? And I think you have a couple of examples here
Yeah.
can share just to give an idea of, what we're looking at, type of projects.
Yeah, so actually, when there was one question that I asked, prospective investors also is that if they have already invested in real estate development projects, what does that mean? It means helping finance the construction of something.
Right.
Most people have not. That's the nature of most of the EB-5 projects that we're going to be talking about, right? So I have a couple examples here, but one point that I tried to make, and I made with Lorena and then Todd here, is if this is not something you would invest in if it was not for EB-5, so don't.
Right.
It's got to be something that you feel comfortable enough that you would be doing by itself without necessarily with the purpose of getting the green card. So these are just a few examples of projects, past projects, not current projects, right? The projects come to market, they get subscribed, they get capitalized, and they go get executed, right? So uh, Todd and Lorena here invested in a project that is not open for investment anymore. So it's being executed, right? And they're going to tell their their story. So this is not one of those projects in which they invested, but it's just an example. This is a gigantic master development, 100 miles from Atlanta, Georgia. It's considered a rural area, which means that any investor, any petition in this project has priority processing. It jumps ahead of any other petitions, right? And nowadays, petitions submitted in rural projects are being approved anywhere between 6 to 12 months. Clearly, we see the USCIS putting actual priority, on the approval of rural petitions. So this condominium, this is an example of a safe thing because it, first of all, it already exists. The EB-5 capital is being applied to expand it. You're investing in something that is already tested. There are families living there. About half of it had already been developed. And the capital, the way it's being financed, the EB-5 capital is just part of the capital stack, as we say, that is financing the project. The sale of new homes is financing the expansion of this development, right? So when when the investors, EB-5 investors, made their money available for this project, the jobs had already been created. The
That's
project
great.
was already in execution. So that requirement from the USCIS had already been fulfilled. So the risk of getting or not getting the green card had already been totally mitigated. And this is an example of things that, you know, can happen, that are available, that people don't know. So when we start talking about those things, people, get a bit more comfortable with the whole concept of it. Now look at the return. The return is just 0.25%. It's
Terrible.
very typical. It's very typical that an EB-5 project, the best EB-5 projects, with the best regional centers, will pay very, very, very little for your money, and that's the reason why they go through all the complication of raising that capital. EB-5 capital is a very complicated kind of money. It comes in chunks of $800,000. You have to collect lots of investors together instead of just going to the bank and getting a big check, right? So the developers go through the process exactly because, with the purpose of having a lower cost of capital, and having capital that is going to be committed to the project for a long term. In this case, the holding period was 5 to 6 years, meaning that the money would stay invested for 5 to 6 years, regardless of the legal process. So if the person already had the conditional green card and etc., and could exit had the possibility of exiting the project, that investor would have to wait anyway 5 to 6 years to exit. So we have more projects that are shorter term nowadays, but that was an example. This is a completely different project. This was the expansion of a green hydrogen plant in Texas, and all the production of the expanded plant had already been sold. So economically, this project couldn't be safer. And this is a company that is a listed company in the U.S. stock exchange with billions of dollars in equity. So you're basically lending money to someone that does not need your money, and that can offer a very, very large collateral for your loan. This project had government incentives, and again, low return, and as it says there, collaterals of $3.5 billion, and holding period for 4 to 6 years. So I guess what I'm giving here are just examples of things that, the methodology and the analysis that I perform end up scoring really high and indicating that they are safer than other projects. There will never be 100% safety because the law and the process requires that there is risk. But it doesn't mean that it has to be a high risk. So
Right.
the trick here is to find those alternatives that have the lowest possible risk profile.
Yeah, those
That's
two
it.
look like awesome projects. I would have invested in both of them. Okay, well, thank you for that. It really, I mean, those are just a few examples. There's so many more that offer all kinds of benefits. And with dealing with you and with your scoring, you'll be able to look across all the different aspects of the projects and decide which one is best. Families will decide for themselves. Whenever I'm talking with anyone, I always tell them, please take a look. And if you're comfortable and you find a project that works for you, we're happy to work with you. If you go through the process and you don't find a project that you're comfortable with, then please don't do the EB-5 because perhaps it's not the right path for you. Okay, well, thank you very much, Fernando, for that.
Sure.
I think we're now going to introduce or talk a little bit more with our clients. Am I on the right page? Did I miss something?
I
think
think
we're
so.
okay. Well, we're going to talk to Todd and Carly, and Todd and Carly are wonderful clients. You guys have been a dream to work with, and I just wanted.
Right.
It's nice to have you here. Thank you for taking time to be here and to share your experience with everyone. Do you want to kind of walk us through what happened with you and your process and how you ended up here tonight? And
Sure.
what the pros and cons of this whole process have been for you and your
Sure,
family?
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we made the decision to go the EB-5 route. I actually started looking at the E2 first, and a friend, my former business partner and a friend of mine, talked me out of it immediately. He said, "You don't want to go that path. If your goal is to eventually become a U.S. citizen, be a green card holder, and eventually have citizenship, there is no pathway in the E2, if I'm not mistaken. There, you have to go the EB-5 route." So he had a lawyer in Sarasota and put us in contact. We'd already engaged with that lawyer and made the decision that we were going to do this. And back up for a sec, I guess, just why we made this decision. We did this for many reasons. Mostly opportunity for our son. Our son turned 21 in last November, and we had to move fairly quickly in order to get the family approved on an EB-5. So we had engaged a lawyer, started to move fairly quickly. I don't even remember exactly how we came across, if somebody suggested or I came across Maimone from the internet and your Facebook site. But we got engaged. I ended up having a call with Rocky, and we clicked right away. They're obviously, as I mentioned, they're Canadian, and they've been through the process. And so even though we had already engaged with another lawyer, we decided we wanted to engage with Mena and Rocky and their team, and it's been a fantastic experience so far. Obviously, we got approved fairly quickly. We submitted our paperwork in October of last year and just got approved a couple of weeks ago. So it went very fast, and yeah, we couldn't be happier. The team that they have, as Rocky mentioned earlier, the resources they have. Fernando was fantastic. Put us in touch with a great accountant, and immigration, healthcare contacts. Their contacts are fantastic, and I can't speak highly enough about the experience we've had so far. And it's been seamless. It's a waiting game. Mena continuously tells me to be patient, but it moved fairly quickly, and we're really happy with where we're at so far.
Yeah, I mean, 7 months is fabulous. I did mine in October of 2019. I got approved, I think, 5 years later. And then I just got my green card in June. But the reason for that was because I'm considered a legacy investor, and they didn't treat us so good. It was before 2022, and a lot of things changed. And I'm so happy that we're seeing our clients not have to wait the time that I waited. When I did it, the process was much slower. I also lived through COVID, but now, and there was no adjustment of status available for the legacy investors. So all of those things came to fruition later. And I think Fernando can speak to this too. Isn't it the best you've ever seen in terms of the EB-5 and the speed of processing and everything based on?
Absolutely. No, it's incredible. And I try to explain that to people because I mean, like, why would Todd be concerned about, okay, he's getting his green card approved his petition approved in 7 months. It does not tell him how long other people are waiting right now, right?
Yeah,
If you happen not to be from Canada, but from China or India, it could have been 10 or 15 years.
right.
So it's crazy. So yes, no, I have never seen the program being so favorable
Yeah.
for foreign investors.
And just to give you guys an idea too, if you married a US citizen, the processing times are about 15 months right now. So you guys did it in probably half the time than if you were to marry a US citizen.
Amazing.
So that's just amazing to me.
Todd, were you worried about the investment? I remember you and I spoke, and then I said to you, if when you really take a good look, you'll see. And so when you went through the process, how did you feel once you had a better chance to look at the different investments?
Yeah, I was just going to touch on that. So, yes, I was worried about the investment, of course. As you said, Rocky, you're investing a substantial amount of money in a foreign country, even though, you feel you know the US as Fernando pointed out, it's at risk. It has to be an at-risk investment. So it was, yes, it was a little unnerving for sure. But I can't overstate how comfortable I felt after going through the process with Fernando. So Fernando, as he mentioned, there's hundreds of EB-5 centers, regional centers. There's hundreds of projects on the go. Fernando has a great process where he takes whatever the projects are that are available at that time. He shortlists. He gave us 10 projects to choose from. He plugs them into his matrix, and that matrix is very detailed. It's a scoring system. It scores each of those regional centers on various metrics that and get into the details, but just to really give you a clear vision of what the pros and cons are of each of those projects. And so from that, you kind of shake it down, and if you don't like those, he'll bring some more in. And we kind of shortlisted to 3, and then we ended up choosing one, and obviously we chose a good one. We chose the project we chose because it had the jobs created in advance, as Fernando pointed out. Some regional centers have those jobs created in advance, and it had some other interesting. Every regional center project has its own, as I said, kind of its own merits. And the one we chose, they already had the jobs created. It was a resort project, and they were offering a equity stake as security in some of the chalets, which I liked as an investor. I did see, it's interesting. I know Fernando touched on it, but I did see a question of somebody saying, "Holy crap! A quarter point on an $800,000 investment is terrible." It is, but that's not why you're doing this.
Right.
If your goal is to eventually end up with a green card, permanent residency, and ultimately citizenship in the U.S., then you can't look at the return you're getting on that. The return is the green cards, permanent residency, and eventually citizenship. So, I just wanted to make sure that the investment was as secure as possible. And once I felt comfortable with that, yeah, it's that money's put it out of your mind, and you'll get it back. The project we chose has a 4 or 5 year. I know some of them are longer, and there's all kinds of different scenarios out there. But yeah, you once we went through the process with Fernando, his system, his process is excellent. Fernando's excellent to deal with. I can't recommend him highly enough. Rather than trying to go do it yourself. Sorry, I just wanted to say, using a consultant like Fernando who knows what he's doing, understands this, than just trying to go out. I did end up speaking to some other people who just went out and found EB-5 projects on their own. You can do that, but I certainly felt more comfortable with somebody who's in that field, understands what's going on, and had a great scoring system to figure out which projects were going to be best for whatever your goals are.
Yeah, that's very important. I agree. Somebody commented, how did you get your son in there?
Oh,
He turned 21. How did he make it? Do you want to tell them a little?
I
yeah,
remember that. I
so
remember
we had
that.
yeah, it's a good question. So he turned 21 last November. We submitted October 4th. So we literally just got in under the wire. We made the decision to move to the US, I want to say in the spring of 24. So Aprilish, we sat down as a family and decided this is what we wanted to do. Felt this was the right decision, right move for us. In particular, our son, as I mentioned, I think there's, wherever you end up in the US, we're in Florida, and I think there's far more opportunity for someone his age here than, I'm not going to get on my political soapbox, but what we have going on in our home country is, anyway, this is the right move for us as a family and for him, and so we made it happen very fast. And Fernando, Manaraki, they moved at the pace we needed to move, knowing that we had a very short window to get our paperwork submitted and get the process underway, and make sure we came in under the wire so that we could come as a family, and make sure my son was able to get in here before he turned 21.
So from the behind the scenes, Mena would come to the office and she's like, nobody talk to me. I got to work on Wilford case because we don't have a lot of time. She'd lock herself in her office.
It's like, I can't be responsible for their son.
I think the whole office knows your son's birthday is in November.
I even remember your son's birthday. I was like, DJ.
So now you're here, right? You're living here.
Yeah.
Your green card's coming. What's it like? Like, how are you feeling?
So we feel fantastic. So we actually came down here June 7th, was to get our 90-day window before we're submitting in 2 weeks. Our status of adjustment, our work permits, our I-765 and our I-131 travel, all that'll be submitted in the next couple of weeks. So we wanted to get our 90 days, feet on the ground, and we're here, and it's been fantastic. We're acclimated to the heat finally, and it's been great.
Wait till winter rolls around.
He tells me he's never going back.
Your son?
Yeah, my son loves it. He's informed us even at dinner tonight, I'm never going back. So he feels like we made the right decision for sure.
I remember one time I was joking with my son. He was probably 16. So I went into the kitchen. I said, Pete, I got some bad news. He goes, what is it? I said, our documents have been denied. We have to go back to Canada. He goes, I'm not leaving unless the National Guard comes together and brings me over the border. And I'm like, okay, I get it. Yeah, for them, I mean, for us, it's awesome. I'm so happy that I made the move. But watching my kids with all the opportunities and just the different mindset, the cost of living, the cost of housing, ability to run a business or start a business, work. I mean, it's just incredible. And at the beginning, it feels surreal. I still have moments where I'm like driving or I see all the palm trees. I'm like, I live here. No, it still affects me. Okay. Carly, did you want to share at all or with the whole process?
I pretty much said it the way I would have said it. I love the fun. It's, people are so friendly here, and we're happy to be here.
We're happy to have you. Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Lorena and Nick. So we met, when did we meet, Lorena? It's been many months now.
Well, actually not that many, Mena. we met at the beginning of September last year.
Okay, and
that's
you
when we
came in
first
with a
met.
beautiful family Christmas time, around Christmas time. So do you want to tell us a little bit about your life in Canada? What made you want to come over here, and where you're at with the process and how you guys feel?
Yeah, very similar to Todd and Carly. We hit a crossroads where we had to decide what was best for our children, how they were going to afford a house in 10, 15, 20 years, where they were going to work, have decent jobs. That was the main reason. We have an 18-year-old, and we know that the window was very narrow for him if we wanted to do this. So we line up everything, and that's how we decided to go with the process. We met Mena originally, I think it was the first week of September last year. If I'm not mistaken, I can't remember very well the date, but yeah. Mena introduced us immediately to Fernando. We started working with him. I can tell you, I mean, I can recommend Fernando enough for his job. He's so professional. He's so neat with his explanations. He gave us peace of mind. We knew that we were doing the right thing, and we knew we were in the right hands right away. Absolutely from the get-go. So working with Fernando, I think it was about a month, like the month of September, where we studied the projects that he brought to us. We went back and forth a couple of times, Fernando, if I remember correctly. And then we decided to go with one project, one of the projects that he presented to us. And I want to say that it depends on your case will be different from mine and from Todd's. Like it depends on you and what is more important to you. What risk is more important to you? When do you want to get your money back? How far in advance, or how advanced is the project right now? What the security we felt was immediate, and we decided to go with a rural project because we knew from Fernando and from Mena that we will get how do you say
Cool. Yeah.
yeah,
Expedite processing.
expedited process, exactly. So by the month of October, we submitted all our paperwork, our projects, so you understand a little bit of the process. Once we worked with Fernando, this information went to the regional center. They signed and approved our paperwork, and from there, that information went back to MENA. And MENA worked in something that is called the source of funds, a very important document that we helped prepare with her, saying where is your money coming from. They want to make sure your money is legal and that everything is, clean. So that was the next step. By, I think, the end of November, we had all the paperwork together with the source of funds. By December, I remember it was Christmas time. We went to MENA's office. We signed the paperwork. They ran before the end of the year to submit it, and the paperwork was accepted by January the 3rd. And after that, we waited exactly 6 months. Like July the 3rd, we were approved for the green card. Yeah. So that's the story. We are in the process of moving now with children already studying in the US, and we couldn't be happier.
That's amazing. So before we came on the call, you were telling us about your kid's first day at school. So do you want to talk about, as a mother, how that's been in kind of, I know you guys have gone back and forth a little bit. So do you want to talk a little bit about that?
It's been amazing. Like they love it here always. Like they always travel to Florida. We have family here. It was very natural for us, organic, to come here. And so far it's only been 2 days of school, but they couldn't be happier.
Amazing.
I remember when we called Lorena, it was 4th of July.
Yeah, we called both of them, actually. It's funny.
I remember Lorena's was like on the July 4th weekend. We had rented a beach house, and Mena's like, "Oh my God, Lorena got approved." And she wanted to call you immediately. So that was nice.
Yeah, we were so happy.
Yeah, we talked to you, and then I called Todd and I said, "Todd, I can't give you the information, but my other client who applied pretty much around the similar time as you got approved."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh my God. Oh, I can't wait." So it was good.
I think that's something, Mena, that is important, like to give peace of mind to some people probably listening, because with the new government and everything, we had our minds that the process will probably take longer and that we will be delayed. And it was actually the opposite. Like we were expecting, I think when we first talked to you, Fernando, the approvals were around 10 months. And
yes, on average.
On average, exactly. And that was our expectation. And all of a sudden, we were approved in 6 months. That we were caught off guard by the approval. We were not expecting that. But I think this process can be smooth and seamless if you have the right people behind you. And that's what Mena and Fernando and all the team have done for us. Like it's been seamless because we have you. We have a village that we trust behind us. And that's why we are here today.
Thank you. I really appreciate you saying that. And it's really been wonderful working with both of you guys. I mean, like I said in the beginning, you're some of our favorite clients because anytime I call you, it's a good thing, and you guys are really you want to work with us and reasonable and understanding and just going through the process together. So I'm really happy to hear that.
I want to give a shout out to you, Mena, because I help manage the firm. I deal with intake and talking with people, educating, doing some calls about EB-5, E2s. And then once that person is in our ecosystem, it gets handed off to legal, right? And so Mena and her team take over from there. And I got to tell you, like, I'm very proud of you, obviously, because I'm your mother. But I'm a little biased because I'm your
Love
mother.
it.
But let's step back a little. What I've learned and seen over the course of, having the privilege of working with you is you take it personal, you take it serious. There is no cutting corners. We've seen source of funds reports that are 4, 5, 600 pages. She doesn't leave any stone unturned, and she just gets the job done. And when you do that, there is no back and forth with USCIS. There's no request for evidence because she's given it all to you. Like there's nothing else to ask for. In my process, I had a request for evidence about my funds, which now that I look back, I'm like, why didn't my lawyer, give them that at the time? Then I had to go back like 12 years and try to get, it would have been very, very simple for him to have done it. But I guess, there's different people doing different jobs. So I can assure everyone from the background, she really takes it serious. She's honored when people entrust their journey with her. And our team is phenomenal. Like the other attorneys, paralegals, all the way from the receptionist. We've got a great crew and they really care. And you should see the celebrations every time there's this guy got approved, they got approved, she got approved, he got approved, and everyone's really, really happy and celebrating. So thank you, Mena, for doing a great job.
Thanks, Mom. That's such a nice
It's easy to run this business with you because
Well, I see it as I watched you guys go through your process and it wasn't easy.
yeah.
It took a long time and there was a lot of frustration. And so when I'm representing, like Todd and Lorena, Carly and Nick, I see it as, as if I'm doing my parents' petition because I watched my parent do it and it was so difficult for her. And so I know that this is it's changing your lives. It's your family. It's everything. And I remind our staff of that. I'm like, this isn't just a job. What you do impacts someone's life. So it's very
Absolutely.
important that we take it seriously. So thank you, Mom. That was a very nice compliment.
I'd like to just chime in and say, at the risk of sounding like I'm on your payroll, you guys do treat it like that, and you treat us like family. And Rocky summed it up. I feel like that when you call. I know you actually care. It's not just a call to tell me that I gotta do this. It's we know that you legitimately care, and your response, you're very responsive, both of you, because I've reached out to Rocky independently to ask other questions, business related questions, and you guys are very responsive. And I think, Rocky, I've talked to you on a weekend a couple of times, like 6 o'clock on a Saturday night. I'm like, why are you calling me? It's 6 o'clock on a Saturday night. This could have waited till Monday, but you're calling me to answer the question. So anyway, you guys are fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to tell you, I do have a life outside of my own. But you know what it is? When I see a question and I know it's a question that's maybe weighing on you, I'm like, I'm just gonna answer 5 minutes and at least you'll feel better. And I hope that I can do that. I do it often. Sometimes Mena tells me to turn off my phone.
So I'm gonna make you guys laugh. So a couple times we had like a mini intervention with my mom, me and my brother, and we sat her down and we're like, you need to detach. Every time we talk to you, it's about the clients. So, she really does care, even on the Saturday. So she's like, I do have a life.
Yes, I do.
I don't know about that.
Hey, if I can make someone feel a little better with a quick little email or something, I'm gonna do it. Thanks, Todd. I
Makes you
appreciate
feel
it.
good.
Okay.
So people are itching for us to answer their questions. I saw someone say, are you guys gonna even answer questions today?
You want me to read through some of them or?
Yeah, sure.
Um, I guess someone said they have an attorney that they spoke to and the attorney made them feel bad. We hear that a lot.
They want to
Yeah.
scare you.
Why?
Unknown. I don't know. They think they sound tough or cool, that they're making it sound harder than it is.
Yeah, if you're afraid of the process, have a consultation with us. Talk to Fernando one-on-one. There's no high pressure sales anywhere. If you
No
feel
cost.
comfortable, yeah, it's no cost. If you feel comfortable, you proceed. If you don't, then you don't, right? Does adjustment of status allow someone to work, Minna?
So yeah, after about 3 or 4 months, once we put in that application, you'll get a work permit, and then you can work for any U.S. company. But you do have to wait that time. Todd
Right.
can tell you that firsthand. Right, Todd?
Yes.
So
Yeah,
It's
you have to
forced
wait
retirement.
time. It's annoying, but once it comes
But
in, you'll be good.
but it doesn't preclude you from owning a company.
I
You
was
can
just gonna
own a
say that.
company. You
Yeah.
just cannot have, be on the payroll of anybody, including your own company, right?
Can't
Yeah.
work for your company.
You
You
can
can,
open a business and have others run it for you.
yeah.
And Fernando can help you with that too, because he's a business broker and can assist you with finding the right business.
And he's
Well,
very good at that as well.
That's
um,
right.
someone's saying, so if you invest in an E2, you can't use that investment towards an EB-5 unless you're doing it in a like really short period of time and you're creating those jobs. We can discuss that more at a consultation. Okay, so someone's asking about if they can talk to us. If you go on our website at not for EB-5, but for an initial call, if you just don't know which route is best for you, you can go to movetotheusa.ca, and there's a calendar there that you can book a 20-minute call. We're going to talk a little bit about EB-5 and if you need some more advice beyond tonight. How long can you stay in the US on an E2? Mena?
What can you say? Sorry, I was like looking at our thing. So on an E2, you can stay indefinitely. It's a 5-year visa initially, and you can continue to renew it as long as your business is profitable and you have a couple US workers. You can continue to, it just doesn't lead you directly to a green card.
Yeah, we do also do EB2 new. We can help you with that. We do pretty much every type of visa other than like deportation, asylum, removal.
Which hopefully you guys don't need that anyway. That
That's
would be
right.
unfortunate.
Have you noticed any changes in the EB-5? This is good. We need to talk about this because it's important.
Yes.
Maybe Fernando and Mena, you guys can take this. Can you talk about the current EB-5 program and what's about to happen in the coming months and years? Because it's coming up for renewal.
Fernando, I'll let you take this one.
Okay, well, the EB-5 program is a law that was enacted by U.S. Congress in 2022. It expires the sunset, as it's called, on September 2027. It has to be renewed, otherwise it's going to go away. The program, right now, the investors are grandfathered. Anybody that invested before September, end of September 30th, 2026, is grandfathered. So it doesn't matter if the law is not renewed, if it's changed, if Congress does anything, with it, those investors their process will continue following the same rules that are valid today. That's it. That's what's happening with EB-5.
Right. So we had lunch with a couple of EB-5 regional center people. We've talked to some others as well. Once it renews, well, everyone thinks it's going to renew. I don't think there's anyone saying it's not. And we asked the same question. What do we think it's going to look like when it renews? Any idea? And I know it's hard to say because this is just an opinion. We can't base it on anything. But
Yeah.
we've talked a little bit about what that might look like.
Well,
One
a lot
one thing we know is that the minimum investment will go up because
of
the
Right.
law has a mechanism for adjustment of the value, which the previous law didn't have. So that is one thing that we know that's going to happen.
Right. And then adjustment of status I think the consensus is that it should probably remain, but we don't know, right? Because it wasn't there when I did it. Then they put it in 22. Now, is it going to remain? We don't know.
I
So
don't know.
if people are interested in EB-5, you should really act fast because the current program is the best it's ever been, and we don't know what's going to happen to it coming up. If you want to schedule an appointment with us to talk specifically about EB-5, you can send an email to info@mymonelegal.com. We're going to offer two types of consultations with the attorney, either a 30-minute or a 1-hour video or in-person consultation. Anyone who emails us tonight who has interest in the consultation with one of our attorneys is going to get a $50 courtesy discount towards that consultation. So if you want to set that up, give us an email at info@mymonelegal.com. For a 30-minute consultation, it's only $175. For a 1 hour, it's $350. And if you act tonight, you'll get a $50 credit towards either one of those. That's my little sales pitch. How long does it take to get my green card with EB-5?
Yeah, so if it depends where you're doing it. So if you're doing consular processing, you get an approval in about 6 months. You'll probably have your green card around the 8 to 9th month if you're going to do consular. If you're doing adjustment of status, typically about 12 or so, 12 to 18 months for the adjustment of status portion to come in.
So if you remain in Canada and you do consular all the way through, it's shorter?
It is, yes, because you're getting an approval faster and the adjustment of status, the I-485 wait times are longer.
It's a little bit longer.
Yeah, I think it's important to highlight that the processing times that we're talking about here are averages.
Right.
So there's no guarantee of anything. If there is some kind of problem with the USCIS and they stop adjudicating, etc., it could take longer, right? We are seeing we can only talk about averages, right? We know that, but today the average processing time for rural petitions of investors in rural projects are being approved anywhere between 6 to 12 months, and petitions in non-rural projects are being approved in whatever, in 2, 3, 4 years. So it's they're simply not being prioritized.
Right.
There's a question. This is a good one because Mena's done this a few times. Can you apply for an E2 visa with any investment like using Airbnb, short-term rental, arbitrage, real estate related?
So yes, you can work that in, but your E2 has to be a true business that's capable of hiring employees and isn't seen as marginal. So what you could set up is a property management type of business. You would need a physical location, commercial lease. You would need to show where you spent the $100,000, not on the investment in the properties, but on the startup of a property management business, and incorporate the management of those first few homes that you have as the first few homes that you're going to manage.
Right. And we can guide them through all of that. Someone's also asking, how do they find a business to open or purchase? That's kind of my area. So I will meet with you, discuss what your options are, what you're looking to do. And then I would connect you to a business broker in whatever state you're looking to potentially purchase that business in, walk you through the purchase of that business. And then we have the business part of Maimone Legal. If you need our help with looking at contracts or purchase and sale agreements, we can help you with that. And we can work with the broker. If you find a business, you can send it to us. We take a look at it to let you know if it qualifies for the E2 investment and basically hold your hand through that whole process. That's something that like I mentioned earlier, that's so different with us. It's not just we do your paperwork and move on. We try to guide you and assist you and give you whatever professionals we work with to help you through that
There's
process.
a couple things I want to share.
Yeah.
Number one is that we've decided so for E2, we have a money back guarantee, which means that if we could not get your E2 because there was an error on our part, we will give you your attorney fees back. Okay, which I've never seen any other attorney do. The second thing that we've just implemented is a money back guarantee for the EB-5. So if we cannot get you your EB-5, your I-526 approval, because there's an issue on our end with the paperwork, not being the project that you chose, but with our paperwork, we will give you your attorney fees back. So I have yet to see an attorney who will give a guarantee. Most of them will say no guarantees, and they make you sign all these documents to that effect. But we wanted to put our money where our mouth is and guarantee you that we can do this right. That was the first thing. Then what was the second thing I wanted to say? I can't remember, but that was basically what I wanted to share. Oh, I remembered. We also opened an office in Texas, and so a lot of people ask, you know, can you help me move to other states? And they're reluctant because we don't have an office there. So we decided to go ahead and open an office in Texas. We spent some time out there. It's beautiful. So if you're considering going to any other state, whether it's Florida, Texas, or any state at all, we can help you move there.
Okay, here's a question for Fernando. What measures do you have to gauge the legitimacy of these unknown programs and builders?
I don't. Simply don't work with unknown centers and developers. And I only consider regional centers that have been around for 10, 15 years with thousands of investors with their money back, with their green cards. There is no need to even waste time with newcomers, with new developers, people that have not been in the EB-5 industry for a very, very, very long time. There is enough supply of good projects from the cream of the cream, the top of the top. And that's all an investor should be looking at. You should not, anytime I hear of a project that's paying 4 or 5%, even 10%, I mean, obviously there is a trade-off there. There is a risk profile that is different from. So the best, the safest will come from the best players that have been around, that have a long track record, and will pay you a low return because that's the trade-off, right? Now, it's not because a project pays poorly that they're good, right? So there are many other criteria to be looked at, but I simply don't deal with anybody that does not have at least 10 years of track record.
Absolutely. Once you go through the process, again, you'll see that it's not a crapshoot. It's a strategic look at all the important variables. You look at the regional center, what their background is like. You look at the developer, their background, what do they bring to the table? You know, just like making any other investment, you're going to go through all of that. Someone is asking about potential investment. So when you're doing an EB-5, the EB-5 is done per family, and it includes husband and wife and any children under the age of 21. So as we were talking with Todd and Carly, you don't have to have the green card before your child turns 21. You have to have filed and received a receipt notice. So in their example, they got their receipt notice in October, which then locks in their son's age. My son got his green card when he was just about to turn 22. So if you do it before any child is under age 21, even if it takes a year or two beyond that, they'll be included in the petition. If you're two siblings and you're doing an EB-5, this is a question, and because you're over 21, you're your own family. If you're doing an EB-5 and you get your green card and citizenship, you could then sponsor your parents, and that's immediate. So there are ways of sponsoring family members down the road. Some take a lot longer. Some are quick and right away. Someone's asking, will they finance part of the 800,000 in an EB-5 project?
Well, there are some regional centers and projects that accept that investment is made in installments, right? Not many. It's not a common practice. The best and the most successful regional centers and projects tend not to accept that. Now, there is something that needs to be considered. The investment, suppose that someone invests in a rural project, so the processing time will be anywhere between 6 to 12 months. If the investment has not been fulfilled 100% before the petition is being adjudicated, the adjudicator will request proof that the investment was made. And
Right.
so there comes an RFE. There comes that's a process that might have a higher chance of being denied. So yes, there is a possibility of partial installments of the investment, but just for a couple months, just no more than 3 or 4 months,
Right. You
which
have to have the
normally
fund.
doesn't help much.
Yeah, we see most clients, they have it in investments or they sell a property or a home. Sometimes they'll even take a line of credit out on a property and use that to start the investment. So you have to have the funds to be able to do it.
Yeah, that's a different story, right? How do you finance 100% of the funds, right? Yes, you can finance it. You can, as far as you have assets to provide as collateral to the money that you're borrowing, either from a company or from a bank, then it's okay. It's approved.
So, someone's asking if you get denied, can you apply again? Well, you shouldn't get denied.
Depends on what the denial, why you got denied.
Right.
If it's an issue with the paperwork, yeah, you can apply again. If it's an issue with, something went wrong with the project, you might need to wait until that you get your money back and then, or, take out more money to reinvest. So it really depends. It's not really something that we see.
Can I say something? There are two reasons why a petition can be denied. Either something to do with the project, something to do with the source of funds, or the criminal background, right? So on the project side, anybody that works with me will never invest in a project that was not pre-approved by the USCIS. So that part of the risk has already been eliminated. Once it's pre-approved, it cannot be re-adjudicated. Means that the USS will not look into the project again, and that part is and that is like 90% of the causes of denial, especially for people from Canada, from Latin America, where you have good tracking of the source of funds.
Right. So basically, if you're upfront, you tell us everything you need and share everything with us ahead of time, then you should have no issues.
What about if I'm in Canada and I do the EB-5 and I want to stay in Canada, once I'm approved from Canada, how long do I have before I need to move into the US?
So you would basically finalize the process at the consulate, and then they would provide you with a visa that you would cross over with. Are you? Oh, I thought you were frozen. Sorry. That you would cross over with, and then you would receive your green card upon entry. The visa that they issue you has a certain period of time. I believe I don't know exactly how long. It's probably a couple months you have to come in until that visa expires. So relatively quickly once
Yeah.
you finalize the process.
Okay.
I've seen people postponing as much as possible that interview because they were not ready to move on, right? So, postponing the interview and then postponing the entry. I think it's 6 months that you have to enter the United States within 6 months. I'm not so sure. So I guess up to 1 year is perhaps possible, but not beyond that.
Yeah, if you don't want to move, I mean, yeah, there's certain tactics. I mean, you might even consider choosing a project that isn't a rural project that takes longer. So there's different things that we can look at.
And then so I think someone's asking about the process. So someone connects with Fernando, connects with us. We start the processing. We have to do the funds report, and we can't then move into the project until that's complete. And then when do the funds get deployed? And what happens in the course of that?
You want me to take it
Oh,
or take it, Fernando?
Sure, whoever.
So you're
you can take it, I
asking
guess.
what's the process once the funds get deployed?
Yeah, what happens? Do the funds go into the project to the regional center, and then you want to walk us through that?
Yeah, so they'll send the funds to the regional center's escrow. The regional center will confirm that they've received it. There's a few other steps involved in that. And then their funds will get invested and we will be able to send out the petition once we have that proof from the regional center.
Okay,
But basically, it's after they start working with me, it takes anywhere between 3 to 4 weeks. If nothing, there's no other reason, uh, between 3 to 4 weeks to fund, to make a decision about the project and be in a position to put the money, the investment in escrow, right? And then from that, the regional center gives, the bank in which the funds were deposited gives a receipt that goes in the petition, and then the petition gets filed.
perfect. Okay, we're running a little bit late.
And
We
do
are,
you want to wrap it up?
yeah, I just want to let out some other information that's really important. So we're going to be doing an in-person event in the Vaughan area, Highway 400 and Highway 7, if anyone's familiar with that area. We're going to be doing that October 1st and October 2nd. It's a wine and cheese get together. It's a maximum of 60 attendees only. We wanted to keep it very intimate. You'll have an opportunity to meet with us in person. We're going to go over all the different visas that are available for you to come to the US. There's going to be wine and cheese and a nice little soiree. So we're going to be putting that up in just a moment. So that's October 1st and 2nd. For the consultations, again, you can email us info@mymonelegal.com to schedule a consultation with us. If you do it tonight before midnight, and I'm going to be asleep, I'm not going to check at midnight. You'll be able to get a $50 credit towards that consultation. I think Danny's also going to put up our Facebook group. We have an incredible group, over 75,000 members. You can scan the QR code. It's called Canadians Moving to Florida and the USA. I think, Todd, this might have been where you found us originally.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, it's a great community. There's, everyone sharing and helping with experiences. We're growing and continually growing. So please feel free to join the group. And we also have all kinds of things happening on our socials. So we have our Facebook, we have Instagram, YouTube. YouTube is excellent. Please subscribe. We have a YouTube channel. All kinds of videos are on there. There are videos that talk about E2, healthcare, navigating your move with financing. There's other webinars we've done with Fernando with regional centers. So subscribe to the YouTube channel. There's a ton of information there. And then if you want to get a hold of us, you can call, you can email, you can contact the office. You can go on our our landing page, movetotheusa.ca, and there's a million different ways to get a hold of us. So that's it. I want to really thank Todd and Carly for coming on tonight. I'd like to thank Lorena as well. Fernando, as always, it's awesome to work with you, and it's a pleasure. Because we're aligned in how we treat our clients. To my beautiful daughter, Mena, who really puts her heart and soul into all of her clients. Thank you. Again, thanks to everyone, and we'll see you at the next one. Have a great evening, everyone.
Night, everyone. Thank you.
Night.
Take care.
Bye-bye.